Alright, the Jaguar is back, and at the moment dealing with some ABS issues. If I can get this to zoom in, hold on, let's see if I can get this to focus. Alright, yeah, I think that's better than nothing. So we got some traction stability control fail and ABS issues. Let me show you what I got. This is the 1998 Jaguar XJ8. I've done some other things to this. I can't remember the other videos, but let's move on. Right now, it's saying something in regards to an ABS fault. Oh, there you go. Hydraulic pump motor circuit failure. I was capable of going to the live data. Now I will add on this, on the Alltel, I got the MK908. I couldn't go to a 98 to 2000 model, so it went up to 2002, and I was able to get some type of code. So I'm hoping this is accurate. It allowed me to go through some of the PIDs, pull codes and stuff, so I think we're in good shape. Input integrity test mode. So there's some problems. There's the fault code here. We got one permanent. I erase it, it comes right back immediately. When I pull the wiring diagram, it looks pretty simple. It doesn't look like anything complex. It just basically comprised of like a brake switch. You got the input for that. You got inputs for all 4 speed sensors on all 4 wheels. Then you have powers and grounds in the motor. So it's nothing complex. So I think I can tackle this. I did look up some theory of operation. Let me go out here. So I did look up some theory of operation, and it did mention that if there's some issues, and I was thinking because it's a simple circuit, we just wouldn't get any backfeed going to the PCM or whatever recognizes the module. It shouldn't recognize the backfeed voltage. It's a 98, it couldn't be that complex. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happens. So if the pump motor doesn't get any backfeed voltage, then it's going to detect the problem. So what I'm thinking, to make this simple, I simply can just go to the pump here, and I found the 2 wires at the bottom. I looked and overlooked the fact that the pump motor, being that it's on the housing, the wiring is remote. It's external. So it goes from the, let me pull this out. It goes from right at the module down here directly to the pump. So what we could do, leave that in there and pierce these 2 wires. See if I can get a little closer. Pierce these 2 and see if we have power on one, and it should logically, it should backfeed, and I should get a voltage value if I'm correct. So one should be hot, the other one still should be hot until ground's applied, and it'll short out and that motor will work. So technically both should be hot, but if I pull this, one side is going to be hot, one side is just going to backfeed through the motor and go back into the connector there. So I'm not going to check all the fuses and stuff. There's 3 fuses. This looks like the power, the larger one's going to be the main power source, obviously. And I did pull wiring diagrams. So the browns were 12 volt, and one of the other black ones down here was 12, but another one was ground. So I'll show you that, but I'm not going to check the voltage on that. I think I should just go directly to the motor, but just 2 wires. Instead of having to check this and then check down here, I'll just go straight down here. And the good thing is I can potentially manually activate that pump if I wanted to, but I want to check and see if we got proper voltage going back. And what I could do, because the code immediately comes back, administer some 12 volt backfeed and see if the code shuts up. So I could do that. So let me get my piercing stuff hooked up here and in a comfortable spot. We'll go from there. I know this doesn't match. Just using one at a time. I was trying to save some time and I have to get my electrical stuff. I have some laying around. Small pile. I think I can. No, I can't get this around there. Shucks. Can I? It's got a lot of insulation on it. Well, yeah, I forced it on there. Let me see what happens. I think I'm in there. I could take an ohm meter. No, I'm about to see if I can ground the house, and that's not really too much. Let me put this back in here. We'll just do one at a time. I'm gonna have to mark them with a pin so I can make sure I'm on the right indication. I do have the key on. Leave this loose somewhere safe. I'm just gonna use a test light for this one. There's a ground down here. It probably because it detected a fault. It's gonna shut it up. I wonder if I can just, I think I can get my, yeah, I got a little room back here. I don't wanna break this. That's my luck. Let me see if I can get on the ground. This ground is rusted, but we'll see if it works. I just need to make sure I'm on a good 12-volt source. Damn. Yeah, duh. Alright. Just I smell something burning. Something's burning. Oh, it's in somewhere in this relay. I wonder if the ABS, this is hot right here. I don't know where that goes, but it's a little warm. I'm gonna find out. There might be a ABS relay. Still ain't working. It's hot. It smells really hot. I'm gonna test my test light again. Let me pull this. See if the relay cuts off. Test this. I guess I might have to test this. So I don't have power on two of these. Wait, what happened? I'm gonna test this again. I need to find a better ground. Power. Okay. I should have power. I think this correlated with it. Pull this back over. Well, again, one of these black wires should have had power going to it. So this has power. This has power. The black one at the bottom. Unless I overlooked it. They might not have they might not supply power, but I'm gonna look and recheck. It was supposed to be a black and a white one. Maybe. I got it disconnected and it's still a little warm. I need to pull a diagram because this doesn't have a diagram on the back of the fuse box. Let me try. I could just manually try activating the pump and see if it does anything. Let's do that first. Oh, it's cool. Like these will fit right in here. It fits in there perfect. All I gotta do is find the power and ground source. And I guess I'm gonna go here, tap on one of these fuses. Oh, the pump motor does work. As far as like the draw, I don't know. I need to put an amp clamp to it, and then I can determine if it has the abnormal load. But what I would need to know is the fusible link that's tied to it. Assuming that it's on a 10 amp fuse and it happens to surpass that and go to like 15 amps, you know, it could blow it. But I mean, it's working. It doesn't seem peppy as it could. Sounds okay. It works. It's not shorted. So I guess the thing is, maybe one of those wires in the back that's supposed to supply 12 volts, we might just have a blown fuse. It might just be what it is. Let me look at that wiring diagram again and see what needs to happen, because I know we have power down at the bottom here. As a matter of fact, let me put a mark on the ones we checked. We have power there and there. The top ones are questionable. This relay is just smoking. It is burning hot. What is this? I think that's probably, okay, that's probably like auto shutdown. Yeah, that's the ignition. That's for the engine. Okay. So I pull that out, throttle body start actuating and stuff, so I'm gonna ignore that. Yeah, I had a good connection with this pin. So this may have been, we may be missing a ground. Could be. Nope. Okay, now is that working? Let's check this one. Okay, so these two are working now. That's interesting. I had a good connection. Interesting. That ground down there looked rusted, but what are the odds of that being what's wrong with it? But I mean, I still don't have power. Let me go back down to this ground here and recheck the wires going to the pump itself. This module could just have some internal problems and not feed the power. Let me check here, so we're good. I think I'm in there. Let me cut the car off and cut it back on, see if it goes through a testing phase. So nothing happened. Make sure my test light illuminates. So yep. Let me go to the bottom one, see what happens. So on both occasions I cleared the code, nothing changed. One other thing I will do is, I guess, supply power on the other side of this and see if the code goes away. So I'm already hooked up on one side of the motor. What I could do, just put a jumper here at the fuse, and the power should go from the test light through the motor and complete a circuit. And let's see if the check engine light goes off. I can't remember which ones are power. It's the relay right in front of me that's open. I can't remember if 87 or 85, I can't remember. Let me just manually check them. Yeah, that's the power source. So 86 is gonna be power. Tag along right there. I'm gonna make sure I have a complete circuit. Alright. Alright, so it's going all the way down through the test light. I'm gonna start it up and let's see what happens. So I'm gonna clear the code out. Check this off. So I'm gonna erase the code.
Let's see if the check engine light goes off. Or the ABS light. Nope, stayed on. So likely we probably just got some issues with the module. Let me see if there's a different code up here. Hydraulic pump, the motor failure. So what could happen if there's an internal failure with the connections, like the electrical portion of it, the board, then that right there would translate to a problem, because if this has lightning. If this has a CAN gateway system, then the recognition for that feedback isn't going to be active. So there's likely some internal problem with this module. But just to be on the safe side, I want to change the wire that I'm at and go to the other one and still add 12 volts and just see what happens. Logically, it still should have been both, because once it goes through one side, it will backfeed to the other. So let me see what happens. All right, so I switched the wire and went to the other side, and the light illuminated, which indicates that it's getting a ground signal right now. So probably when it goes through its testing phase, it just sends 12 volts through the system. Let me see what happens with this. I'm gonna cut the switch off. I think I can still see the light. Yeah, I can still see the light on. Let me cut the switch off. The light stays on. Let me see here. Let me make sure I erase the code again. All right, let me see what happens. Okay, it went off on that side. So that's interesting. So the pump, the motor itself just may be bad. Let me see if the light went off. No, the light's still on. It's just on that ground circuit, it has to recognize the 12 volts and then shut down. It'll shut down at 12 volts. So this module is likely controlled by the 12 volt circuit. Let me see here. So we have constant 12. Yeah, the code's gone. But one thing I could do to make sure the pump is actually, I mean, I tested the pump though. The pump is bad. The pump works. We just didn't have any circuit feed. Just to go back over myself, what I could do is, well, I did put the test lead back in the opposing wire and then ground it out and see if the light comes on. So ground, put the alligator clamp on the ground, check, make sure the ground's working, put the lead through that wire on the opposing side and see if 12 volts get fed to it. So take it out of this one. I just pushed it straight through there. Okay. Well, gosh darn, maybe I didn't have it all the way through there. Because, I mean, logically, it should have recognized the 12 volts. That's interesting. So I'm going to leave it on that side, too, and see what happens. That's weird. I won't get in there before. So if I got 12 volts and the ground is being looped back, one side's going to have 12 volts, one side's not. Let me go back here. It's a possibility I just did something and it just started back working again. I'm gonna take the 12 volts off and I ground the other side. Make sure I got a good ground on here. and then we'll see the check engine light comes back on. Okay. No check engine light. Oh, there we go. There we go. It came back on. So the ABS is back on. Oh, now it went back off. Huh. It was literally just on. No fault. Oh, there we go. It popped back on. I wonder what that looked like outside. Like it with the test light. Is the test light pulsating? Is it not? Let me see if I can establish a rhythm. So no check engine light codes. Okay. Let's back off again. It came back on. No codes. Let me see. The light's not illuminating or anything. That's interesting. Let me move the ground and see if it still pulses. Oh, it doesn't. Huh, that's interesting. I wonder if it's because I manually controlled the motor. I don't think that had anything to do with it. Maybe the motor's in the process of failing. No fault code still. Oh, there we go. Okay, it's on now. If I can get this thing to focus, it's back off. No fault codes. Let me see if there's anything in the live data. It's popping back on and off. Diagnostic mode. The traction control fail, but there's no indication of a fault code. Diagnostic mode. Why isn't there a code though? Unless it goes on and off doing diagnostic mode or something. I thought maybe because I was inside the module it was coming on, but I'm outside the module now. I'll exit out of it. I think I established what it is. So I did a wiggle test and the light is out now, but if I go back down and move the connector for the motor, and I have a really good connection. I was able to emulate this a couple times. If I push the connector in, then it works. So if I move it side to side, and if I do it just right, the light will go out. And I knowingly know that wire is pierced really good, because when it was out and I moved the wire just right, okay, let me see if let me use 2 hands. So when I moved the wire just right, I was able to play with the light, and the connector's in there really good. I'm just gonna play with these pins. I was able to move the test light and get it to, okay. It's just right, we'll do it. So I'm moving right at the connector. Okay, so it's off now. See, I'm moving, piercing the probe here, and the wire is doing nothing. But if I move the wire, the connector, it comes on. So there's a broken connection down here. And I don't think it's actually physically in the wiring. I think it's just at the connector for the module. And what I could do is just move these pins around can't get down there and see it that good. So I got to go off that time. If I pull this out, I'm not gonna be able to get any power. This one. Moving this, moving the bottom one. I mean, the broken connection could be actually in the module though, like a solder joint or something. I mean, I'm not gonna be able to do but so much superficially. Just try to bring the female in and close it up, and that'll probably keep some sort of connection. There's no corrosion on the pins. They look really good. I don't know what the bottom ones look like. Let me see if I can get the camera down here. So I've been trying to shoot some brake cleaner in there, and that way maybe I can clean the connections up a little bit. I'm gonna blow it out with some compressed air. Maybe that'll help with the connections. But the only thing I could really do, because the connectors looks real good, I mean, like I say, just tighten up the female end, and because it's likely probably going to be inside the module if that pin, if it had like a stress fracture. So it might just barely be catching on, and when you move it just right, it lose connection. Let me do what I need to do, and so let me try to bring those pins closer together and see what happens. Yeah, I don't know if it... Yeah, I think it's going to be inside this module here. That made it worse than not. Because if I push up on the connector... Oh no, never mind. Hold on, wait. Let's see. Push up on the wire. Good. So this time I'm pushing up on the connector itself. Yeah, I think it's inside that module, because if I move the housing now, yeah, I'm moving the whole, I'm moving the top part. Yeah, it's gonna be inside this module. I hate to have to make it worse, but you know, the move this left and right, and it's just got some broken solder joints in there, and I'm not gonna go as far as pulling that cover off to determine what's going on, and I'm just gonna hopefully leave it like it is when it when it decides to break, because I think I exacerbated it. Yeah, when it decides just to completely go, it's just going to go. I don't think I'm wrong. I don't think it could have been pin related again. I mean, if I'm this whole housing here, if I can move this and there, that motor is the stress point. I mean, because it, ain't no telling how big the conductor is that goes from the control unit out to those pins. So over time, it going through its test mode or it activating could have had a high resistance point or a bottleneck and just damaged it. Could have just been a issue from the manufacturer. But again, this car only has 60,000 miles on it. It doesn't have that many miles. It doesn't. It's out now. I don't know how bringing the connection, closing off that female end is going to make it worse. Unless I just keep it, find something to keep it pushed up against itself. I mean, I think it'll be okay for a while. I mean, as long as this doesn't get touched. But once it activates, it's probably what's going to cause this module to fail. We tested the motor. We know that works. We looked at the theory of operation, and it needed a backfeed of 12 volts for it to work. We have ground. And strange, once I was able to give it 12 volts, it on another wire it came to. But then again, in hindsight, it was just the broken connection the whole time. So this is sometimes where when you start diagnosing stuff and you start pulling connectors, you want to do the least you want to move the least amount of things possible, do the most least invasive work as possible. Well, that's the bad thing. I started moving stuff around and inadvertently fixed it. But it's fine though. At least, it's the module. But if anything happens, they want to replace it, which I highly doubt, I'll let you know. But hit that link, subscribe to the channel, stay informed, head to Richardson's work. See you on the next one.